Okay, I'm way behind again. I'm sorry. I am way behind again. It's so tough for me in the summer to keep up, even though it's been the rainiest summer in the history of summers. But I'm always outside and running around and at the pool and at the beach, and I'm just not inside watching horror movies, unfortunately, because then when I think about it, I realize how much I miss horror movies. But this is one I actually did watch. So the prompt that I'm talking about for the Everyone's a Critic horror movie challenge is a new or recent release. And that is usually hard for me because I end up watching everything late. But I actually went to the theater to watch MaXXXine, and so I thought I'd talk about it, and I really can't talk about MaXXXine without talking about X and Pearl. Now, MaXXXine was a movie that I was like most looking forward to coming out. I was just so excited for it. And I loved Pearl. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot less memorable, I think, than X. Because, like, I thought it was a really well done movie. It was good. It was interesting. It had a good story. It explained a lot of stuff from X. But it just wasn't as memorable for me. X was so good. Like, I loved watching pretty much every minute of it. It had a good storyline. It was a little bit different. I liked the time period. I really liked all the characters for once. I really didn't want everybody to die. I was fine if they did. I just didn't actively wish for it for the most part. And, some of the topics they touched on when they weren't being killed were interesting. And just the themes of aging and how things change when you age and fear of aging and all those things yeah, my video's messing up. Sorry. Anyway, there's a whole fear of like as you get older, you become more invisible. And there's a point where people do not look at you as someone who's sexually attractive. And that's got to be a really challenging transition. And so I really had a lot of empathy for the characters in X. I'm not here to talk about X, but I just had to get all that out. So MaXXXine I went into with really high hopes. I think the actress, I can't remember her name, but MaXXXine, the girl who plays MaXXXine, I think she's a phenomenal actress. She did a wonderful job. X was better than MaXXXine. I liked MaXXXine. It was an enjoyable watch. It lacked a lot of the vulnerability that the character had in X because she, was tough and she was doing her own thing, but she wasn't the badass that she was yet. And so watching her be like scared, not knowing how to handle things in a way that was more relatable than the character she was in MaXXXine, who really didn't seem like she was struggling with much of anything. She had a lot of confidence, but then she also had flashbacks and some trauma that she was not dealing with. Something that kind of surprised me a little bit is that there was usually movies show some kind of negative repercussion for drug use, but there was none here really. Like, you see her regularly doing cocaine and there was no real like repercussion for it, which I don't think there necessarily should be. It was just different than most films where when you watch it there is some kind of like you do drugs and bad things happen to you. In fact, it was the opposite. So good things were happening to her, and I kind of liked it because she was engaged in adult entertainment and doing drugs, and at the same time she was a really strong, interesting character. And the twist, yeah, spoilers, there's spoilers everywhere. The twist where it was her father that was killing all her friends or pursuing her and trying to get her back and was also interested in making a movie, that was interesting. I was like, part of me loved it and part of me was like, okay, I don't quite feel it. Like, the acting was good. It just didn't quite land for me like maybe it should have. You could see where she gets her like whole I will not accept things that I don't deserve or something. But all in all, I definitely would prefer X out of all of the three. I think MaXXXine was probably the weakest out of the three films. It was still good. It was still interesting. I still enjoyed watching it. I'm still happy that I went and watched it in the theater. It just didn't draw me in the way X did.